Good morning, guys. I actually slept really well last night. I woke up once, had to restoke the fire and adjust my bed because it was kind of sloping and I kept rolling off to one side. So once I did that, I fell back asleep, slept for a good solid probably 4 hours maybe, and then if not more, woke up around 3 and then fell back asleep. I didn't wake up until 6 o'clock. So, the sky's starting to get light out, and the sun will be coming up here in a little bit. There's still some embers in the fire, so I might try to get the fire rekindled this morning. Since there's snow on the ground, it's easy to put it out, just to help warm up. It's kind of chilly, the wind's blowing a little bit, but it's definitely not below freezing. So, but the moon's out. I'm just kind of watching the moon and slowly getting the energy to get up and get going. I put all my thermals back on inside the sleeping bag this morning, so when I crawl out of the bag, it's not freezing cold. I have some layers on. So, but I'm gonna get up here in a few minutes. It's always nice when you have a big enough fire that there's still embers in the morning, so you can just blow it back into flame. Got the down slippers on this morning, keeping my toes warm until I get my boots on. These things are pretty nice. They're not incredibly durable, but they work around camp. That fire's not going to last long, and I don't want to go get a lot of firewood, so might as well take advantage of the heat when I got it and get going. You got to be careful when you're opening this, because sometimes it'll have some pressure in there. And it's lukewarm. It's not hot, but it's lukewarm water, which is a lot better than, you know, if I had just heated some water this morning or melted some snow. And the socks are all dried out. I have extra socks, but I like saving those if I need them and trying to dry out what I have. I'm kind of surprised how warm it is this morning. It's a lot warmer than I thought it would be. I don't even think it's below freezing. I don't have a thermometer with me, so I can't tell, but it seems relatively warm. Compared to how cold it can get, it's still chilly, but for being December, I was expecting it to get colder. So, something I wanted to address is, this wasn't exactly like a survival trip. I had food, I had a pack full of gear, and I know those survival trips where it's no food, no water, no sleeping bag kind of stuff, those are popular, and I think there's definitely a place for those, and they're entertaining. But I know that most people don't want to do that. Like, people enjoy watching stuff like that, but they don't actually want to go out and do it themselves. So I wanted to kind of make a video showing how you can do this and actually stay warm, and how you can utilize some of the resources around you to make your situation more comfortable, but not necessarily a survival trip, because most people want to go out. If they're going to go out into the woods in the wintertime, they want to do it in a comfortable way. They don't want to suffer. There's a time and place for, suffering and surviving, but most people just want to go out and enjoy it. So I want to do a video kind of showing how I do it to stay comfortable, to stay warm. I'll do other videos, more of the survival stuff, but I thought I'd start out just showing how to do it properly so you actually have a good time. I got a great night's sleep last night, so I accomplished my 2 goals. I survived, and I got a good night's sleep. So those are really the only 2 goals I usually have on winter trips, unless I'm going out specifically to do a task. Definitely did not have enough firewood to last all night, but that was okay because I had a good sleep system. Wasn't worried about that. The bed worked out pretty well. It was a little sloped, and so I kept finding myself right on the edge, on the backside. So if I were to spend another night here, I'd readjust the bed, mess with the logs, level it out a little bit, but not too worried. I slept fine for one night. It did its job. There's a fine balance of knowing how much time you should spend on something to make it work for just one night versus, multiple days. So I look at it, you can rough it the first night and improve upon your situation the second night. But by no means would I consider what I did last night roughing it. I was pretty comfortable. Went to bed with a roaring fire, had embers this morning to rekindle my fire. So I only had to build 1 fire, which is good. So why winter camp, I guess, is another question. Like, a lot of people don't understand, why would you go out in the cold, freeze, do all this extra work just to spend the night in the winter? And the reason for that is, if you consider yourself a woodsman, I think you should be able to comfortably camp in all the seasons that you have in your area. That doesn't mean you can't be really good at certain seasons, but you're not a well-rounded woodsman or woodswoman if you don't spend time in all the seasons. And here in Wyoming, where I'm at, up in the mountains, it gets below freezing for about 6 months out of the year, usually, at night. So being able to camp in cold temperatures, and there's usually snow on the ground for anywhere from October until probably like March, maybe a little sooner. But yeah, there's snow on the ground, and there's potential for snow all the way from September till May.
sometimes even in June. So don't just assume that you don't have to deal with it, that you know if you want to be well-rounded, if you want to be skilled, if you want to consider yourself an outdoors person, know how to survive in these environments, know how to camp in these environments. And there's one thing about reading books about it and you know, watching videos and knowing what you would do if you were in that situation doesn't mean you actually know how to do it. It's only a theory until you've done it. So I recommend getting out there, trying it. At first, just camp by your car, so if it doesn't work, you can get in the car, turn the heater on, and there's no danger. Don't do what I did my first trip. I was like a mile away from my car, didn't have the right gear, and completely froze. Coldest I've ever been in my life. And so, yeah, camp by your car, test it out, slowly get into coming out into away from your vehicle, backpacking in there. So there are definitely some dangers with winter camping. You know, you can succumb to the elements a lot faster, at least in my environment, in the winter than the summer. So know what you're doing, be well read, you know, have done the research, and if you can, find someone who's done it before to go with, but you don't have to. I didn't. I just started going by myself, and a lot of the same principles that apply in the summertime apply in the wintertime, except for you need a lot more firewood, and you just got to try to stay dry a lot more. So you don't have to necessarily enjoy it, but I do recommend trying it, getting experience in a cold weather environment, and see what happens. As you can see here, everything fits the same way I brought it in, but I got the puffy coat on, so even that, it's not as well packed as when I first started. That's why you don't want to overstuff your packs and, you know, get everything in there super meticulous in the wintertime, because you'll be cold in the morning, and when you're trying to pack up, it will never go back in the same way you put it. So make sure you have extra space, and that way when you have cold hands in the morning, you can still fit everything inside your pack. A lot of noisy trees this morning. All right. I'm gonna go ahead and take my bed down. Do a scan around camp, make sure I didn't leave anything. And I'll take note of this place, and I might be back, and I can utilize this wood for either firewood or another shelter. Never want to walk away from a fire that's still smoldering. So, remember what I said yesterday, you want to start off hiking comfortably cool. So, I'm going to take the down coat off, otherwise I'll start overheating very quickly as I start moving. But as you can see, fire's put out, wood scattered. You can tell someone was here, obviously, but after the first snow, it will, there won't be any evidence of it. So, but the sun's starting to come up. I can see it down in the valley down there. So it's just a matter of time before it peaks up over the ridge. But I'm gonna go ahead and head out, start moving back to the vehicle. I got some oatmeal and some hot chocolate waiting for me. Eating a bar this morning to give me some energy to get back to the vehicle, and then I'll have a proper breakfast. It's definitely windier today than it was yesterday. So, when you're hiking in the winter, sometimes it can be hard to find trails even if you're familiar with the area, because everything looks different when there's snow on the ground. But one easy way to tell, obviously right now you can kind of tell there's a trail here because there's not enough snow for it to just be completely covered. There's a little dip and you can tell that there's a trail. But another thing you're looking for is going to be obviously a clear path through the trees. A lot of times trails will be marked with markers on trees up high, so you can see those. But I wouldn't rely on those because one of those trees could die and fall over and then there's not the marker. But the biggest telltale for me that I'm on a man-made trail versus a game trail is going to be flush cut timber on either side. So like you can see here, buried in the snow, right there, that's flush cut, meaning that tree didn't just break off completely flush. So that means it was cleared, and one tree is not enough to tell me. However, as you're walking, if you continually see more and more trees that have been flush cut and markers like that, that tells you you're on a man-made trail. So as we're coming down here to this draw, you can see there's multiple flush cut trees where they've been cleared out of the way. So that's a telltale sign that you're on a man-made trail, which is good to know because game trails can look similar to man-made trails if you don't know what you're looking for, and they don't necessarily lead to where you want to go. I'll do more on navigation later, but that's just kind of a tip for you. More flush cut right there. Also, I'm on the same trail I came in on yesterday, so I can see my tracks. That helps too. But if you're on a different trail or doing a loop, the flush cut timber is your best way to tell, especially here in the Rockies where there's so many dead pines that fall over from the beetle kill. There's always going to be flush cut timber along the trail. So this is a good example of a game trail. No flush cut timber on either side. Obviously there's deer tracks, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's a game trail. They'll use man-made trails as well. But deer tracks, and yeah, it's clear through there, but it's a lot tighter and it's a lot more weaving back and forth. So I can tell this is a game trail versus a man-made trail just by how it's made, the route it takes. It doesn't just cut through the forest, it weaves through. So, but game trails can be just as useful as man-made trails if you know the area. They make traveling pretty easy. Well, I'm parked just down there in that parking lot. There's the main road. So, made it back. I'm gonna go eat some breakfast and get ready for church. So, thanks for watching, guys, and I will see you guys on the next one. There we go.